I'm just going live. I don't even care. What's up, guys? Let me send a link out to this, and then I will make a much needed video after a lot of chatting today and comments I've gotten yesterday and in months prior, the whole time doing this YouTube thing, which is insane because I have less than 300 subscribers. The largest of my videos has 4,000 views on it. Even on videos where I'm getting though like sub 100 views, a couple hundred views, I will routinely get walls of text comments from people who display by the second paragraph that they haven't actually watched the video. More to the point, you click on their channel and it's no profile picture. They have no videos of their own. They're clearly not a bot because they have playlists that they've like saved. They've been on YouTube for like 15 years, something like that. But they just have no stake in the game. So that's what I'm going to be talking about. Feel free to click around because this is going to be a live stream. Now, let me send a link to this. This is totally impromptu. But yeah, the title. Basically, if you have no stake in the game, your offense is irrelevant. This is a response to a lot of people saying, "Oh, we're alienating, oh, we're elitists," and I made a joke in the Discord earlier. It's kind of in the name, you know. We already made that tongue-in-cheek joke months ago, and I changed my profile picture to the cult of the role-playing elitist. It is tongue-in-cheek, but at the same time, if you're typing walls of text about how, oh, you're alienating newcomers, this is the same as alienating a guy that's sitting on the sidelines of a game of tennis and wants to say, "Oh, I don't think you should be holding the tennis racket that way. I don't think you should be doing it this way." But you've never seen them play tennis. They won't join your tennis game. They won't make their own videos. If you explain to them why you're doing it the way you're doing it, then uh they just none of it happens, right? And it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that we're having hey Elf Hunter, hey Conway. Yeah, I think it'll be a shorter one because I'm also busy later today, but I the this has been bugging me. But yeah, so I'll get comments on martial arts videos, which that one's way more common to get the martial arts comments of that would never work in a real street fight, bro. What's your and then you look at the guy and it's like, hey, why don't you make a bit? You clearly have a really strong opinion on it. This fucking webcam is $15. This shitty webcam is $15. My microphone's 20. Guess what? If you're making all these comments, I bet you have a phone. I bet you have a fucking phone that's got a better camera than this webcam is and has a comparable microphone. Make a video! Make a video, goddammit! Have some stake in the game. Yeah, I hope you're offended. I hope you are alienated by this because you want to spend hours talking shit writing paragraphs, but not 10 goddamn minutes to make a video about it. So yes, we're going to be strongly opinionated and strongly defend our stance when we're putting our faces out there. We're putting our voices out there. We're putting our games out there. And you want to talk shit in giant walls of text. Oh, we might hurt some feelings. Yeah, I at this point I hope we do hurt feelings. Like, god damn. And we try to reach out, we try to cut through the chaff, the walls and walls of text of chaff of this is why I'm doing this martial arts technique. This is why we're defining role playing in this way. This is why, and it's with everything. That's why I wanted to make this video, wanted to do this live stream because it influences, it infects every corner of my hobby. The armchair quarterbacks. But more to the point, the armchair quarterbacking is normal, but it's specifically the armchair quarterbacking and then backtracking and being offended when you point out, where's your game, bro? Where's your video? Not even where's your game, bro? Where's your videos on the subject? Where's you as a human being? You have no right to be offended if you are a profile picture and text on the screen. That's my opinion here. You have no stake in the game. You have no, there's, and when it is so cheap, when it is next to free to get stake in the game, that's when I think it's ridiculous. I'm like, yeah, Alfutter. Thank you, man. I'm glad it's been on yours as well. But when I'm showing stuff that's like basic Muay Thai, that like the short I made, I don't make shorts because they seem to attract it worse than anyone else. They attract a lot of the bots too, but that's not really what I'm talking about. But when I'm showing basic Muay Thai inside parry to around elbow, and I get people, they're not saying anything constructive. It's just, that would never work. Oh, this guy's 0-0 and fight. This guy's got no fight record, and it's just like, do you have anything like? I'm not perfect. If you have something that you believe could improve this, better yet, if you have video of somebody doing exactly what I did here, and then getting tagged in the liver, because your liver is open when you do that, then I would be like, oh, that's a good point. You ought to watch out for liver shots if you're using this technique. But no, it's just empty platitudes. It's just when you point this out, people just get offended and they start writing walls of text. It's like, guys, just make the video. Just make a video. It's that simple. It's really the beginning and end of it, right? And one of the things that's really nice about videos is when you're going through text, you have to read through the walls of text. It kind of has to be the one thing that you're doing. Whereas this, you can listen to this in the background and combine man hours. You don't lose the 7 minutes and 30 seconds that you've lost to this if you're doing it while you're cooking or, I listened to a lot of videos. I was doing some home brewing last night, and yeah, I got through like a 1 hour video on breakdown on the Chernobyl HBO miniseries on what that got wrong historically. That was really cool. But yeah, fucking nerds, man. That's my basically my stance on it. Sorry, I just saw what was responded to me in Discord by Zonalar, which is nice try, buddy. However, I recommend you try again in 5 years once you have more experience before you start changing the perfectly fine system that nobody homebrews. Opinion held and upvoted by real human beings. Yeah, exactly. And it's when these guys say that, like, well, I've got decades of experience and this is okay, then share that with us. If that is true, if you truly do have decades and decades of experience, right, then share it with the world. And I don't mean share it in a big fucking wall of text on a comment on some video with 57 views of mine. I mean, make your own video out there, cast a wider net. I wish we still had the video response format that YouTube used to have, because it's not manually moderated anymore. I feel like there would be no not no issues, but few issues with that. We've already got a bunch of botting issues and AI generated videos from ads anyways. It's kind of insane out there. So yeah, I wish we still had video responses. Nonetheless, just I see now and am more frustrated by it, because I kind of understood what Shauner was talking about years ago when he said, like, people think they put their face out there and then they're going to be, their video is going to get 1 million views and then work friends are going to be asking, and that's just not going to happen. Realistically, you're going to get 57 views and maybe one video blows up. But here's the thing. if that one video does blow up, own up to it. You made it. You put it out there. There's so many layers. You have to record the video. You have to hit upload onto YouTube. You have to make it public. There are so many layers where you can go, that's not my best work. And you can improve on your own opinions by looking back at the video, seeing, do I agree with that from 8 months ago? Should I redo that video? Has my opinion changed on it? Rather than a wall of text, it just gets lost. It's not a good way for archiving and tracking things over time. Comments are, there's so many of them. We can, with the clip feature on YouTube, we can clip parts of videos and do this. Yeah. Totally empty platitudes. X session was boring to watch. 4D sounds like it's flawed, etc., etc. Exactly. It's okay to postulate. And I'm not against people writing lengthy comments. I write lengthy comments. I would just also like, if you have a lot to say, it deserves a video. If you have, you need to play games and or link me to stuff where you think, give me a timestamp. We have the timestamp feature on YouTube since it's existed. Timestamp me. What did you think was boring? What did you think was wrong? That sounds dogmatic. That's something I've heard in the 4D space. It's something I've heard in the martial arts space. It's like, that sounds dogmatic when you say something as a hard and fast rule. Okay, explain. Seen Breaking Bad, Lalo. Okay, show me. Show me what you're talking about. If you have an opinion that's held that strongly, you should be able to point exactly out, what do you mean by that, right? Okay, we're too dogmatic. Well, let me explain that. We have spent years at this point, hundreds of man hours, combing over dozens and dozens of actual plays, the most viewed ones all the way down to little ones, running our own games, modifying the ways that we engage in role playing, doing it in different systems, and we have come up with a framework to describe the role playing that we see happening. So if we sound a little dogmatic, that's probably why. It's probably because your definition, no offense, was invented in 2 seconds on your keyboard just now. It's not somebody mentioned earlier, I don't remember who it was. This is not an ad. I'm just not scrolling through the 1,000 messages we've sent today. That it was, I'm not trying to toe the party line. It has nothing to do with it being a party line. Conway and Zonalar and Rick and Crispy and Max, we all disagree with each other in different ways all the time. Hey, Adept Austin. Yeah, good to see you. But yeah, we all disagree with each other all the time. We've built this framework so that we can get what exactly we do agree on. And, we, all of us who are taking part in building that framework, in constructing the 1D through 4D, all of us that are vetted and have sessions up have put our brains together to come up with a definition of what role-playing is, of this 1D through 4D framework, because we eventually accepted, okay, not everyone's going to agree on what role-playing exactly is. So here we go. Here it is. This is what we put out here. If you are capable of putting out a better model, great, fantastic. Let's see it. But don't dismiss the fact that this did not come out of thin air yesterday. The 4D thing is well over a year old at this point. It's almost two years old, right? We are approaching the 1-year anniversary of Shauner's passing, unfortunately. That thought sort of sparked this more impassioned video here as well, because that's that's the basis of so much of it. There's also an attitude problem. Elf Hunter says, I don't go into someone's Discord and start telling them how they're wrong. I join the server to learn. Obviously, there's a back and forth, but it's with good faith. That's exactly it, right? Don't want to toe the party line, said by people with, who have been here for a month, which is simultaneously enough time to start watching enough of our videos. And second, not enough time to have like any stake in the game, to have anything built up. And if it was, we would know about it because you'd be posting it, right? There's a reason we talk about the pillars of roleplay being a flawed model. It's an imperfect model, and we've had to push back on that and generate our own. And it's so much easier to point and go, that's a party line, that's elitist, or oh, what about this? Is this not role playing? There are holes in the model because it's a model. It's not perfect. If you have issues with it, build your own thing. Otherwise, I'm going to have the hard and fast rule of where's your game, bro? We've spent, beating a dead horse here, but we've spent hundreds of man hours. We've spent months and months and years at this point of time talking it out with each other, experiencing it, changing things as we go, adapting definitions. It's not just about towing a party line. It's not just about making the thing work. We believe what we believe in good faith, as Elf Hunter said. It's something that was carefully curated and gained through a lot of experience of watching some really bad games and really bad habits out there that people don't point out as bad. And you're going through these games with Matt Colville and going, dude, the freaking GM is on his phone half the game. How is nobody in the comments talking about this? How is or when they are, they're just like, ha ha ha, they're laughing it off as if this is not a not a professional person that so many people look up to in a professional setting. So yeah, if we offend people at this point, good. I've tiptoed around that, but it's like no more. I'm scorched earth here. Yeah, exactly. Have a good attitude and willingness to learn. I would put along with that, like, if we are pushing back on something you're saying, even Conway, when Conway says earlier, you might be able to role play in a war game, but that doesn't make a war game a role playing game. And the script, yeah, that doesn't seem like an insane statement to me. And then he even goes further and says it says oh, that's interesting. Well, Conway is he's fitting in Shauner's shoes as the firebrand among us. Yeah, unfortunately, not everyone likes butterscotch. Right. And the food analogy is a great one, right? Because I will make amaretto sours at work, and traditionally an amaretto sour's got a little bit of bourbon in it. Right? Sometime in the 1950s, 60s, 70s, cocktails got this super saccharinely sweet and don't have a lot of depth or complexity to them. And somebody goes, hey, I asked for an amaretto sour. I think you made me a whiskey sour. It's like, no. That person's taste buds are objectively cooked. Whether or not they like it, that's subjective, right? But when you can't tell the difference between a half ounce of bourbon and 1.5 ounces of amaretto, something that's like 20% sugar by weight, and a whiskey sour, which is only bourbon, this is no longer a matter of taste. This is why we say put your videos out there so that we can actually see what it is you're talking about. You stay in character during your war games? That is why Conway was amazed by this. That is why Conway was asking, do you have a video of this? Because that's an unbelievable statement. Yeah, exactly. A Coke with a lime wedge? This woman asked for that. She doesn't want the bourbon, and she doesn't want the egg white. So I'm like, You want me to shake up amaretto and lemon juice? I will do that for you, but let's not pretend you just asked me for an amaretto sour because you didn't. We have 2 ingredients. This isn't a cocktail anymore. This is not definitionally, we have to have 3 ingredients to be a cocktail. Like it makes me feel like I'm taking crazy pills, you know? Call back another woman, she asked for a margarita. I say we do a rocks old style margarita, not a frozen, blended margarita like you would get a Mexican, a Tex-Mex restaurant. Is that okay? I can sweeten it if you need to. I make it. Oh, I don't think that's right. I think you did something with it. And see, I used to be a bartender, and I was really? Where at? And she didn't say. She starts sort of stammering and dancing around the point at this bit, and I'm thinking in my head, "You've never fucking been a bartender anywhere." Um, and I start telling her how we make them. I start telling her the ingredients in them, and she's going, "Okay, that sounds right." Eventually, I wrench out of her, "Oh, I really like the way Ted's makes them." Ted's is a Mexican restaurant, which makes them in the way I told her we don't make them. That's how I felt with these conversations where you're like pulling teeth. You're having a 20-minute conversation, getting all the way around to the beginning of you like the saccharin sweet thing. Okay, just tell me that. I'll give it to you if you just tell me what you want. You don't have to dance around with all this pretense. Like there's nothing wrong with a sweet frozen margarita. I like them too, especially if it's 100 degrees outside. But just admit to yourself and to everyone else that that's what it is, right? God, yeah, people lie for social status, feel that they'll get made fun of. It's what I tell people. There's no such thing as a manly drink. There's no such thing. Drink the thing you enjoy. Drink the thing that tastes good to you. As long as you're not killing yourself. Uh, there's nothing wrong with it, right? Objectivity is the enemy of the lazy. That's a good one. Yeah. Um, um, role play is when you adequately perform your assigned party composition role, healer, skill monkey, DPR tank. I'm sure you have no objections to this objective fact. Right. And I think part of the problem is that when we vehemently push back on those things, it's because we've heard it a million times before. But this person that just hopped in goes, "What? I'm just trying to, provide a different point of view here." And without realizing they're not providing a different point of view, they're providing the status quo. That is not going against the party line, as said before. That's what 99% of people, 95, let's say, percent of people legitimately believe an RPG is. Look at the way video games that call themselves RPGs are designed. An RPG is when you have an ability to make your shoes 5% bigger. And that's what an RPG is to a lot of people. So, yes, we have some vehement pushback because it makes it really clear that you haven't engaged with us very closely. Yeah, the Discord is open. I just wonder like where a lot of these people are coming from because they seem bewildered by our stances on a lot of these things. When I'm biased, I'm in the circle pretty firmly, so maybe it's less clear than I feel like it is, but I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just RPG is when number goes up. um the Discord is open, right? That's true. Um Perhaps Crispy, you're too nice for your own good. For our good. You gotta shut the shit down. No. uh No, that probably makes sense actually in hindsight. I don't catch the comment section. I usually watch his videos live. But yeah, it is a huge problem with, as I mentioned earlier before a lot of you came in, reading wall of text comments that make it super clear that someone has watched 2 minutes of a 10-minute long video. I've had comments agreeing with me, framing the comment of, I agree, that's really true." And then by the end of the comment, I realize, "Hey, we totally disagree on this. You didn't finish watching the video." My video on models, on why models are important in role-playing games, the 1D through 40 thing, the pillars of roleplay, whatever you wanna, use to model how we do this thing, was talking, "Yeah, I don't really, like theater of the mind that much." Let me stare directly into the camera. The concept of the video was explained in the first minute. Who reads the title of a 10-minute long video can comments a paragraph without watching the video? So that kind of stuff that we deal with in our hobby, which is, supposed to be for fun, supposed to be for thorough intellectual engagement, if we want to be a little pretentious about it. That sort of stuff is what drives us insane and what gets us to go, "Oh, motherfucker, you don't watch our videos. You don't. How did you get here? Who sent you? Where are you? We need to start interrogating people. Where are your papers? Where are your let me measure your skull." Yeah, yeah. Like, I've had comments that are, "I'm gonna break this video down point by point to why I disagree, and I'll timestamp them." And I'm like, "That's great, that's awesome, cool." And then I'll get one comment at 2 minutes, and then and then they stop responding. I'm glad it can make someone laugh. I'm laughing about it too, but seriously, man, it's like, yes, we're going to be mad at you if you're writing walls of text, but it's not only in bad faith, it's just clear that we're like talking to a brick wall here. It's a topic that has been discussed. And what is Leanhart 555? I really appreciated that you just wanted us to like list the content out there, right? And put it, give you bang, 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 bang. Here's some short form content to come and look at. Because, yeah, that was easy enough for me to do. So many times but what fucking pisses me off, you know who you are, when someone goes, "I'm going to make a hard and fast statement about a thing." And I go, "I can show you that that's not true because we have an actual play of Pathfinder. It's right here. Look, there's 2 episodes. Look at it." "No, I don't want to look at it." "Then shut up! Then stop talking! Why are you writing walls of text when you don't want to engage? One, you don't have any content of your own. Two, you don't want to engage in the content we make. What are we doing here?" I feel like fucking Chael Sonnen and Anderson Silva. He's sitting over here pretending he doesn't speak a lick of English. He's got a translator over here translating to English. Meanwhile, he lives in Beverly Hills, California. He doesn't even live in Brazil anymore. What are we doing? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. God damn, man. Bacon, welcome in. We need to do a thing together at some point. My schedule has been fucking nightmarishly. Right, exactly. And I will be the first one to say, I don't like watching actual plays. I like skimming through actual plays and looking at clips and seeing that's a cool moment, or this is something we could really, take from. But every time I watch one, I'll watch 5-10 minutes of one, and I'm just like, I have to turn it off because I'm like, damn it, I want to be there. I feel like guys, watching football games, like, moving in their chair, yelling at the screen, come on, like I feel powerless. I'm knocking on the glass, like, let me in. But still, like, when we're trying to shove the proof in your face and you're turning it down and you don't have any videos of your own, I'm going to repeat that a lot. Then don't be surprised when we start, pushing back, when we start, alienating, or, oh, that's a bit corrosive to newcomers. Well, dude, like, let me bring you up a martial arts example of when newcomers can be obnoxious as shit. Okay, so new guy, multiple times. This is not one specific new guy. I'm combining 4 or 5 people here over the past few years. New guys come to a martial arts class. The presumption is I'm a martial arts instructor. I'm not perfect. I know a few things though. First thing I ask, new class starts, what's everybody's martial arts experience? None. Did a little bit of karate when you were younger. Boxing, that's cool. Right on. Okay. So that gives me good groundwork. Let's start teaching from that perspective. And without fail, the guy who's going to get phased out in 1 or 2 classes is going to go, well, I don't think that would work. Didn't you just say you had no martial arts experience? Well, oh, okay. Why don't you think that would work? Well, he's just bigger and stronger than me. Okay, well, let me show you the technique working with a 100-pound difference, or what have you. When you're in class, you have a kind of captive audience and you can force them to see the technique functioning. Here, though, it's really annoying because you have that same pushback, which can come from a good faith academic, skeptical place. But then you can also have a refusal to actually address the it working part, the proof part. Beyond that, though, you'll have the armchair expert. This is a guy I had. Yeah, so this is what about like the Romans? The Gauls. What about like how the Gauls fought with like axe and bare hand? I was like, I don't. I do you have a source on Gaelic fighting in like the Roman, the Punic Wars era? Because I'm pretty sure we don't have any sources on how single combat worked back then. We don't even have any sources on single combat from the Romans, which is odd because they wrote a lot. No, man, he just knows. He just knows this. It's pulled straight out of his ass. And if you call him out on it, he's going to get offended. But like, I'm a realist. I'm going to call you out. You just showed up to class. You said you have like no fighting experience. You're making hard and fast claims as to, certain. That's how I feel with the role-playing stuff too, where it's like, I don't know you. You have no videos. You came out of nowhere with strong opinions. And when we push back against them, you're getting offended. Well, okay, if you've got those sources that are saying the Gauls are fighting naked with axe and bare hand, you let me know about that. I'd be super interested to be proven wrong. If you've got video footage of you role-playing in chess, and I'm being serious here, I'm not being facetious. I want to see somebody role-play chess. I want to see somebody role-play the pawn. I think that could be a super fun experiment. I legitimately do. But I bet you, you are inventing a simulacrum for the sake of winning an argument on the internet. I don't think you legitimately believe that. I don't think anybody legitimately believes, yeah, well, you could role play in chess, though, That's not the point. That's not the point. That's not the point. You agree. You must agree that chess is a worse role-playing game than pretty much anything designed to be a role-playing game. That is an insane thing that we're even discussing. When you invent those, well, I'm going to say a frying pan's not a very good weapon. Well, compared to a piece of tissue paper, you could consider. Where did the piece of tissue paper come from? Why are we inventing these ridiculous situations? And the guy talking about this insane situation of a frying pan versus a tissue paper wielding maniac. This insane situation is being invented by a guy in a Rorschach mask, in an anonymous mask, from 500 feet away. I think everyone does. I think it's just it's par for the course. Yes. Yes. Perfect. Hi, Trout Nemesis. Going to catch up on comments. Nobody wants to feel like my 40 years is invalid. Yes, you're allowed to have your own opinion, but have a little humility. It's about good faith. Right. And if you do have 40 years of experience, share that. Again, if you missed it, this, I bet you have this. It's and if you have one even relatively new, it's better than the camera I'm using right now. My microphone costs $30. The microphone on this is not bad either. I bet you have the resources to share that 40 years of experience. And don't tell me you don't have the time. Don't tell me you don't have the time. You got time to write walls of text. You got time to make a 10-minute video. I work 3 jobs and I got time to make these videos, man. Barely. Cram them in here. Only because, we were supposed to have a session today and ended up not, but happy coincidence. Man, Tyler, we should really try and run a Pathfinder module in 4D to show these gentlemen how to sandbox a module and retain player agency without the module insisting. I think we should do something like that. I wonder if people would watch it if we pointed them to it. I'm going to be a pedant here. Hello, NeoCal. Thanks for watching, as always. I think there's a difference between adding roleplay to chess, which does not make it a role-playing game, and a role-playing game. This impacts the discussion a little. I can agree with that. Making videos is much easier than debating in nerd forums. I agree. God, I've got Kingmaker DMing me like, where does the discussion begin and end? And I'm like, I don't fucking know, man. I'm lost myself. I just jumped in 1,000 comments in. Yeah, you've been here a month or so. I have to imagine it's coming from Crispy just because he's the second biggest channel to Max. Max has not been making as much short form content recently, and the short form content always seems to get more clicks than the topic is guys that have a lot of opinions but don't have any videos, right? They'll write walls of text in comments or on Discord and stuff like that. But they won't make a video on it. They won't point out exactly what it is they mean. The old internet debate thing, and I'm basically pointing out that, like, dude, the tools to create a lot of this online stuff is so easy, it's so cheap, it's probably in your pocket right now. No, you're not guilty as charged, Trout Nemesis, because you're not being a hypocrite, right? You're not. If we push back on something you have to say, I've never once seen you go, no, gatekeepers, right, exactly, yeah. Oh God, I mean, this webcam is guilty of that as well. That's why I make so many videos on my phone. I need better cams in general as well, because I want to do some filming of reenactment stuff we're doing. I'm gonna have to sneak a time traveling camera into the 1400s. Yeah, and that's exactly it, right? We've spent years building this framework of 1D through 4D role playing, of hours and hours of videos discussing what exactly is role playing, and then somebody comes up and goes, "Are you being a little dogmatic?" And it's like, maybe, but state your case, put your own stuff out there. It's I was about to say you've been around Gale Guy. It's interesting. I think you could probably tell who. Oh, I mentioned your name. I mentioned your name earlier. I can do it. I can do it real quick. If I remember what I fucking said about you. I said I like that you asked for videos, the videos that we've been talking about, because it takes me 2 seconds to copy paste and post a bunch of them. That is way better than the guys being frustrated that they're like, they think that this definition was just pulled out of nowhere, and it's like, dude, no, there's like hundreds of hours of content out there. You just need to watch like 10 minutes of it. We've got plenty of like 5 to 15-minute long videos that are explaining a lot of these concepts already. And you've got the time, so instead of writing out walls of text or being offended or whatever, just watch, get our opinion. If you have your own framework, give us your own framework. Give it in the form of a video, but don't pretend a thing you invented 2 seconds ago bears the weight of hours and hours and hours of looking at actual plays that are put out there, doing our own actual plays, doing our own academic debates and Socratic seminar style conversations around, what do you think about this? Max and I had that whole series, Dyson Design, which we might go back to at some point. I hope we do when both of our schedules open up. So this is not like Right. And it's one thing. I'm working on my wife's car right now. I'll probably work on it later today and tomorrow. And it is one thing to go, why the hell did they put the alternator in that position? Wouldn't there have been an easier way to than cramming that alternator in, so I have to take the fucking radiator out so that I can get to the alternator? And going, well, why don't you make a car, smart guy? Okay, that's a little bit different. We're talking about a multi-billion-dollar organization that's existed for over 100 years at this point, Toyota. They could probably have figured that one out. There's probably a better way that they could have done it. As evidenced by the way that lots of other cars put the alternator right on top, and it's a 30-minute job to replace. See the Buick 3800 V6. But if you're, in the game of armchair mechanicking, well, I could do that in 30 minutes. Why didn't you just do this, that, and the other? And you're like, okay, show me a video of somebody taking a 2007 Lexus ES350 alternator out in 30 minutes. It doesn't have to be you, but I want to know that it's that it's possible. And then they don't send a video. They don't right, exactly. That's yeah, it's it's a silly argument, right? We're trying to build up a framework of explaining role playing, of typifying the different ways that people play role playing games, much like the way that different swords were typified through Oakeshott typology and a couple of other archaeologists. You can point out the problems with those typologies and poke holes in them. Ultimately, though, we have to settle at nobody's come up with a better idea. Nobody's even put in the time to be constructive about it. If you're being constructive about it, if you wanted to group things, if you're like, I think it would make more sense to group things more by swords that are specialized in defeating armor, swords that are specialized in defeating, lightly or unarmored infantry. There we go. Now we've got a conversation. Now we've got something going on here. This would be helpful. This would be, this would be helpful. A big part of the problem is so many of us are just absolutely swamped with work and with doing things that we try to cram in, not maintenance on the Discord, but getting videos and stuff out there like this. So, but yes, that is something that needs doing. I mean, my own house is a freaking mess right now. My knee is just starting to feel better, and I've got to move a bunch of crap from my aunt's house, and oh man, it's a mess. It's a mess. Role playing exercise to understand why the hell they put the alternator there. Oh god, yeah. Yeah. Well, Bacon, this is all Big Bad's fault. That's who I'm pinning it on. Because we used to have a bot that would automatically post our videos in one, channel. And then Big Bad thought, we can just shove it all into Dungeon Theater. Look at the Dungeon Theater channel since that has been enacted, and tell me if that's been working out, because in my opinion, it really, really hasn't. It really hasn't been working out. We don't need the bot that automatically uploads stuff, but good lord, I think we need a separate channel for this is for a video and discussion under that video. This is for Dungeon Theater. Here, post links to other people's games to critique or do a response on. I think they are two different enough things, and we've got enough people in the Discord that there's so many conversations going on that it needs to be that would be helpful. Yeah, that's part of the problem. We have threads. I don't like using them. The UI is just messy. It's messy, and then stuff gets lost after you haven't posted in one in a little bit, and then you have to go back up to it and go, hold on. All of the UI changes they've made in the last year is just a fucking mess. Here or in Discord, because I see yours here. You just had, I believe it's a universal truth, creating is harder than critiquing. Yeah, that's absolutely true, right? Most movie critics have never directed a movie or have never done a video. Yeah, in here. You're showing up. Unless there's another one that I haven't seen. I wasn't ignoring you. I was getting to you. See, where was I going? Now I pay attention to your message and I lose my train of thought. Thanks, Zilar. No, what was I gonna say? God damn it. The armchair quarterbacking is a chronic issue. I think it's even more of an issue here though, because I can be a little unreasonable with the martial arts and go, well, why don't you just go get your head beat in and then tell me how easy that is? Tell me how much that technique doesn't work. Come here, sir, throw a punch at me and then let me elbow you in the head. Yeah, okay. I don't think too many people are gonna be buying tickets for that one. But with this is so easy. It's so easy to put yourself out here on this one. Nobody gets hurt, right? A good critique is valuable. Yes. That's why I mentioned when it's unconstructive, when it's just, I think you're pushing away newcomers with that attitude, or when it's like, dude, we're just trying to point out, why this is the way it is, or that's elitist, that's dogmatic. It's like, dude, you just showed up. The elitist jokes are all over the place. It's literally in my in my profile picture. If it was a joke and I just didn't get it, that's also very possible. But yeah. Have a good starting common understanding. Do a quick 15-20 minute test run. See if you can stay in character. If you can stay in character for 15 minutes and use the mechanics while you're doing so, fantastic. There you go. Here's How many character feat class feature options for a mechanic-heavy game like Pathfinder would you be happy with in a core book? That's an interesting question. I'm designing my own game, so that's kind of a question I'm trying to answer as I go, I suppose. How many? I don't know. I think you probably get a critical mass. The concept of a critical mass deserves its own video. A critical mass is in game design basically where you've got enough of something for it to happen. Yeah, we absolutely should NeoCal. That would be awesome. So effectively, if you have too few class feature options, feats, what have you, I'm not using I'm using a sort of a character build system, so there's no class, it's classless. If you have too few of them, you end up only being able to make the same characters over and over again. If you make, let me post a link to it. Let me post a link. Where the hell's the link? Invite people. Dude, I don't have freaking invite permissions. I named the goddamn server. This is an outrage. This is an outrage. I need a mallet. I need a gavel. That would be great. But yeah, if you have too few, you just end up playing a lot of the same characters over and over again, and you end up trying to, the saying, if you're a hammer, everything starts to look like a nail, right? It's the issue with a lot of games that are crunchy, but then it just ends up being combat all the time because all the designers thought about was combat as far as the crunch goes. Really? It must be missing then. It's saying I'll dig for it and not try to miss this train of thought. One of the things I like about Pathfinder is that there is a wealth of non-combat options in it. We were talking about that earlier in the Discord. So you don't really feel too pigeonholed. Thank you very much, Gale Guy. If you have too many, you can end up digging through things like in Pathfinder 2nd Edition, where you read through a paragraph of text and go, oh, this feat is useless. And then you go to the next paragraph of text and you're like, that one seems pretty good. And then you read the next paragraph of text. This feat is also useless as far as I understand. And you're just going through hey, Max. Once you develop it, I think if you set yourself like a fixed number, like I want to have 100 feats, I want to have 100 class features in the core rulebook, you might get to 70 and then start going, shit, I need to come up with 30 more. And then the next 30 are just like, add 10 feet to your jump distance after a running start, and it's going to be called Running Leaper. And you're really scraping the bottom of the barrel. So I think the right answer there is kind of like the right answer in writing in general, which is, how long does a paper need to be? How many words does your essay need to be? However many words it takes to get the idea across, Hey, Gallows Humor Games. Dean, right on. Okay. You took the words right out of my mouth. I was just about to ask, who is this? Yeah. Oh my God, dude. I was just mentioning, it's like, you look at video games designers that call their games RPGs. It's like, what are the RPG elements? Oh, your shoe size is 5% larger, so you do 2% more damage when you kick. And that's what an RPG is, guys. Design space. There's a chat in here about design space limitation for sure. That is a conversation all on its own, where you don't want to make a feat that is like I always use the example in Pathfinder of force to the wall, where it's like, oh, you can push somebody up against the wall, and then if their back's to the wall, you get a +2 to hit them. And I'm like, that's a thing normal people who've never been in a fight before do. That should not be a feat, because now you've created the design space limitation of when a guy just naturally tries to do that through role play, the GM has to make the hard and fast decision. Ah, shit. Well, technically that's a feat and you can't do that. And then you're like, what do you mean I can't do that? Now you've just the thing starts falling apart. So yeah, let's roll around over this. Going back to your stake in the game, I wish there's a way to immediately see if anyone's earnestly trying to improve their games. Even that's enough stake to me, right? And for me, that's recording games, even if you're not putting them out there publicly. Even if you're not recording the whole game, record 10, 15 minutes, see what you like, didn't like about that. That's probably even arguably better. Make something more digestible, make something easier to scan through really quickly and go, boom, on a micro scale, this is a problem, this is good, and analyze for yourself, okay, this may be boring to watch, but do you remember this being an exciting time? I remember from weeks ago, I didn't even have to rewatch our own session. I remember from weeks ago, it was so funny because I'm just preparing mentally for the session today, just thinking like, what happened? Oh God, yeah. So first session, they had the freaking won't go, dragging the canned cart into the tavern, and the poor lady's in her nightgown looking like, God, who did I just three random foreigners that have let in here? And that was probably not the most entertaining thing to watch because it was lots of slow, methodical back and forth, but I remember it being really entertaining. That's a can of worms. I agree, but that's a can of worms. Let's so I'm just gonna complain that I'm ignoring him. So look at World of Warcraft abilities and talents, which are also influenced by stats on your armor, tier set bonuses, enchantments, gem slots, food buffs. A lot of skill expression gets thrown out the window as soon as the company releases a broken raid item that makes numbers go up and your skill superfluous. Sorry, you can't play at our D&D table. We're a level 12 party and your character appears to be only level 5. Yeah, you want it really depends on what you want out of it. When you have I like having multiple mechanics. Obviously, that's kind of what defines a crunchy game. You have to be careful about how intertwined they are. I think the less intertwined the individual mechanics are, the easier it is to tweak things without breaking anything, which I like. Um, you know, One of the issues with Pathfinder Second Edition is that so many things are the AC starts really high, so you need the cleric or the oracle or the wizard to cast a debuff spell to make the AC lower, or a buff spell to make the fighters to hit higher. That way, the fighter actually has a decent chance of landing. Other and so once you start tweaking one character, you're not just nerfing the wizard, let's say, you're also nerfing the fighter because now the fighter can't hit anybody anymore, and the things are just too tightly interconnected. And that really disables a lot of your ability to just go with the flow. And if you forget, an explicit ruling, you can't just make something up off the fly as easily because the balance of the game is so tight that if you do that, well, now instead of it being a coin flip, you're actually have only a 25% chance to hit this goblin, and you're sitting there in the fourth round of combat with a goblin going, I could if I could hit this thing. Isn't it just like a normal goblin? And Pathfinder Second Edition is by far not the only game like that. I am hearing similar issues with Draw Steel. Yeah, exactly. You don't want an if else, if else, if else, if else. That's exactly how Draw Steel is designed from what I've seen. Crispy and the guys just did their session 0. That Max, you were in that, right? Do you have, if you're still in chat, let us know how that is. But from what I'm watching of it, I'm like, there's a lot of so if this guy does this and the guy is bleeding, then the rogue gets an extra attack and can try to knock them down. And then if he does knock them down, then the wizard gets to do his super. and you're falling asleep, like trying to figure out what's going on here. I'll be devil's advocate. The Pathfinder grapple flowchart, not that hard. You know why it's not that hard? It all uses the same mechanics. Yeah. It seems pretty bad. It seems you were in the Daggerheart one. That's right. Sorry, I've been trying to keep up with things recently, but I've been very busy. I'm hoping and praying after this week I will have. That's right. Hoping and praying after this week I'll have more free time to catch up because there's been a lot of good videos done recently. Yeah, I love how unbalanced the how unbalanced first edition is. You can throw different, it feels very Vancian. If you read the Jack Vance novels, there's some insane magical artifacts where people can just like touch you and you just vaporize and you like it's like you never existed at all. People forget about you and it's like holy shit, yeah, that's not very balanced. It's really cool. It's really thematic. But yeah, the flowchart for grappling rules isn't too bad because it depends, right? But basically in Pathfinder First Edition, it's just you're rolling combat maneuver versus combat maneuver defense, and you take them from being not being grappled to you've got hands on the guy, you're yanking him around to you pin the guy down on the ground to you've tied the guy up, and the other guy's just trying to work his way against those states using his combat maneuver or his escape artist. That's it. It looks like a big scary flowchart, but I did it for you. There you go. It's not that convoluted. Use Daggerheart's combo system and draw steel instead. 2 players combining their attack for extra effect. Presumably. Allegedly. I have a bag of coffee in the other room that says allegedly contains Onyx coffee. And that always makes me laugh because it is just a cloth bag. You could use it for anything, but oh, let me get you the link to the Discord so you can roll on into the nonsense. Where even is the frickin' rules channel? Am I blind? Dude, I hate Discord. Discord makes me feel like I'm 90 years old and I've never used a computer before. Is anyone else, am I alone in that? I hate that they keep changing the UI for one thing, but for another, I'm like, ugh. Well, I've played the game for a hot minute and have a little bit of the tism, so memorizing that. Shauner was I was in a stream with Shauner once where he was like, does anybody really remember the damage a cannon does? And I'm like, a cannon does 66 damage and it requires a crew of, I believe, 2 or 3. And for every additional crew member, you can reduce the reload speed by 1 round. And he was like, really? You got all that off the top of your head? And I was like, yeah, and I don't remember the last time a cannon even showed up in a Pathfinder game. Do I remember anything important nah, dude. Thank you, Rick. Well, there's I went into technical writing. Nathan, welcome. Thanks for showing up, Nathan. Yeah, you guys can't see it because of all of the hair, but that's pretty much what's going on here. it's Pirate Crew is woefully undermanned. It's relevant right now. Yeah, and that's why I like, another point to crunch. I like when there's stuff like that where it's like, well, you can run a cannon as one guy, but you're going to be lighting the fuse, then running around, wheeling it around to aim it, then loading your cannonball in. And that's multiple turns. Running around like a headless chicken. That's cool. I like there's elements of ship combat that I definitely am not a fan of in the game. It's too ships carrying their momentum and having like acceleration rates. That's really cool on paper. In gameplay, it's made for some cool aspects where somebody will walk away from the wheel, to deal with a boarding party, and then I'm just going in the background like, yeah, this uh your ship was last traveling 100 feet around. You didn't. Nobody. Somebody stepped away from the wheel, and you're like, "Oh shit, we're about to, we're about to capsize," and so you crashed it. You've defeated the boarding party, but now your boat is just like it has a hole ripped in it, and yeah. So it could lead to some cool stuff like that if you have the bandwidth to be like, okay, their ship's still moving, and um, yeah, I think you take into account the fact that the ship is in motion, it stays in motion, and then the rest you don't really need to take into account. Other than that, a ship has hit points, and it doesn't heal them unless you're repairing them. How many people does it take to run a ship? Depends on the ship. Ships basically have three different stats. They've got health, they've got AC, they've got speed, and they've got the crew. You have a max capacity, which is how many people they can take in total, and then the minimum, so the skeleton crew that's required for them to be done. We've got 2 videos. I think the second session is a little bit better because we're all getting into it, but yeah, we have two whole videos um, of our actual play of that. Check it out. Oh gosh, yeah. Because we're doing with the in Pathfinder, you're dealing with like the oh, what is it? You're dealing with like relative speed. So if a wizard casts like a firestorm on the boat as the boat is moving, by the time the spell gets cast, the storm is actually here, like behind the boat, because the boat's already moved past. And it's like that is a really cool thing that somebody's thought of, and entirely unnecessary. But I do like that, like somebody had to think, yeah, the storm is the spell centered on like a floating point in grid space, or is it attached to the boat and moves with the boat? And I thought, no, it's not. It's just on a floating space. So magic is much more neutral. It doesn't have a mind of its own. It's very literal. Um, uh, oh God, Aqua Dynamics. We don't need to talk about Aqua Dynamics. We don't. Oh God. Oh God. Yes, there is the like ghost ships, but that one's I have yet to see that, but that spell is so flavorful and cool. Oh, the Macross. What are the Macross? The Garewalk. Yeah, those are quite something. We could do the same thing in Gundam. This is one of the reasons that Elfhunter and I started recording our Mithras games. We're trying to show people 4D can work in Mithras. I've heard Mithras is a system that I will probably love. In 40 years, when I'm retired, who am I kidding? I'm Gen Z. We won't get to retire, but maybe at some point we'll look at it. Right. I like that things have more momentum, and I like that in Pathfinder, flying is not natural. Like if you have the spell flight and you just like cast it on somebody, you can fly. Well, it's like, well, their fly skill is probably 0, obviously, because why would they have a flight skill unless they're like a hang glider expert? So the instant they take foot off the ground, it's like, holy shit, I cannot. But you so rarely see people actually play that out of like, great, you can fly. Can you swing a sword and fly and not just immediately spin yourself, 360 degrees around if you miss? Probably not. Um, I like for Aqua Dynamics that for the most part, you're just taking like I think it's a -4. I want to say for yeah, the maneuverability is good, but their ability to uh the good maneuverability, that just sets the DC on the checks, if I'm not mistaken. So they still have to make the checks to see if they can fly, even with good maneuverability. It's kind of like, yeah, it is easier to fly a little two-seater Cessna than a full 747. But if you don't know how to pilot at all, you're probably not going to have great results with either one. See you, Austin. Actually, in Star Fox, he's doing an aileron roll. Not even a very good defensive maneuver. You probably want to just cut throttle and nose up. You can do a prop hang if you've got a really light plane with good aerobatics. You should buy a Cessna. Do you have a pilot's license, Max? I'm sure in Canada it's insane. It's pretty crazy here. I looked at it. We have a really good. The college I went to has a pretty good pilot school program, from what I heard, and it's pretty insane how expensive it is just to get your license in the first place, not even to have a plane. Yeah, exactly. But yeah. Anyways, we are yeah, and just the cost in general. See, like, don't give them any ideas, Max. Up there in Canada, they'll probably start flying after you, try to pit maneuver your Cessna. I like the stats for Shadowrun vehicles. Execution can be a bit iffy, but for riggers or any character who drives their own vehicles, it's a great power fantasy to do cool shit with your monowheel. I do like being able to modify, like have your ridiculous, lock system that, shocks people if they try to open the door. See, I wouldn't fuck with the geese. Those Canada geese. The Canada geese come down here in force, and it is it's always a treat. But yeah, steak in the games. That's a fun aside on crunchy mechanics. We can keep talking about those if you want. Hey, let's expand this. I was talking with Nathan about this earlier. Nathan's a personal friend of mine. He's a personal friend of all of yours if you watch his channel and watch his 3D printing video. I presume this is a similar case in other areas where people have really strong opinions on stuff, but no videos. They don't have any evidence of them doing the thing. We were talking shit about Matt Easton earlier. I only bring that up because there are at least 3 of us who will get this reference. But I'm mentioning, like, Matt Easton is talking manufacturing processes on stuff, and it's like, brother, I will have to go check that out. I'll be excited to see that in the Yocal. Other guys, check that out as well. There you go though. When you have zero stake and you're a pretty neutral party, that's one thing. It's when you have zero stake and you're talking shit. Now and then you're complaining that the gloves are coming off. It's like, sorry, bud, the gloves are coming off. You're talking about right. If the approach is, I've been moving around too much, so my head is being cut off by the text. If your approach is good faith, I'm trying to learn, I'm getting into this Discord about a new framework of things, then what are we going? Yeah, man, exactly. But I bet guys that come in with no martial arts experience that are going, I don't think that would work. And then those are usually the guys that get choked out and don't tap to it, and then they never show back up to class. They're not super common, but I will see one probably once a year, right? And it's just like, I told you, man. I told you it works. Exactly. It's why I do not let which I do catch wrestling, so there's no belt system. But I don't let brand newcomers spar with each other because they're gonna end up killing each other. They're gonna end up hurting someone, usually themselves. Um, but with like Matt Easton, it's more infuriating with guys like that because they have been doing it for years, so they should know a lot, but they only make the talking head videos. We don't have any, it's like, Matt Easton, where's your sparring footage, dude? You own a fencing school. Like, where's your game, bro? Myself, I haven't run a game until recently online, but I played in plenty of them. I can point you guys to older games that I played in. I can point you guys to my flaws. I can point you guys to where I've screwed up as a player and now as a GM, where I've been maybe a little too passive, where I've skipped over some things and forgotten about Zonalar sitting in the corner. That sort of stuff I've done. And I'll accept that criticism all day long from guys that have. You don't have to have your own videos, but you have to have constructive. Timestamp it. Show me the spot that you've got a problem with, and we'll work that out. I'll usually agree with you, but God, man, if you're like, I've got guys with no profile pictures, no videos, been on YouTube for 10 plus years, but they've got none of those things, and they're trying to tell me a basic Muay Thai or karate round elbow doesn't work, and I'm like, dude. If that's the case, I would love to see. I would love to see your evidence that is that's somehow a flawed technique here. It's pretty simple. People watch the games. If they want to approach the hobby that way, great. If not, why are they hanging around just to argue? It's weird, right? Right? It's and occasionally you'll get those guys in the classes too, where they're presumably coming to martial arts instructor to learn, and then they're arguing about what it's like. What? Yeah, exactly. In the moment, it was, oh shit, oops. And then yeah, I didn't think anything of it. Yeah, that's I think they should have been able to hear it, but I think they shouldn't have skipped over you. It was definitely you that I was pushing as, hey fellow, we're on this scene again. And then Nick or Conway, I can't remember who, kind of yanked the camera back onto themselves, and I didn't stop it. Maybe I should have stopped it. I'm not sure. I'm still not sure on that one. But I think now that we've got that conversation out of the way, there we go. Exactly, man. They're not engaging in good faith. That's a really good conversation. I've found what works a lot of the time, and by what works, I mean what will get someone to stop talking entirely, is show me how you would do it. Usually when you say that, people will just shut down. They will just not respond to you. You'll never see them again. The moment you make someone put their money where their mouth is, they that's it, This one was my fault. Yeah, sorry. This one was totally my fault. Well, okay, not totally my fault, but I'll accept it because until I showed you my game, please respond. um, it wasn't until we had thought about it after the fact that I was like, oh God, we're working with different units of measurement and distance. I never showed like a map of how exactly far down the street is. We all have different ideas of how far away this tower is. That was me not being granular enough. That was me being too vague. That day, that second session, I don't know what it was. I was just not finding my words there. That's a great way to put it. Yeah, it's not a system. It's just it's a conversation with rules applied, providing manners to the game. It's a means of speaking about the different types of role playing. Yeah. Yeah, sorry, that was bad. That was and you know what's really funny? It was bad of its own accord. Pathfinder had nothing to do with it. But you know that definitely comes from my personal habits with role playing role playing with groups that have 1D players, that have audience members that you have to pull their teeth to get them to act. And role playing like that, I think there's a concrete objective point as to why that's a bad thing, because all of a sudden you will get zoomed in on one or two characters, and and you'll forget there's another player there, right? Once you're in that flow state, in that full immersion, it's really easy to just go boom, 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 and then go, oh God, I I tucked the pizza into bed and put the baby in the oven. Oh no. Right, exactly. Right. Um, and explicitly, because we can have an actual, like, very, very clear objective reasoning as to why it was bad. We're all playing the game. We're four players here, but we were not sharing equal screen time, right? Some people have argued that I should be doing more, and maybe I should. It's very potential that I'm letting go too much as a GM, and because the GM has uh, um, a bunch of different characters, uh, um, it's not unreasonable to say the split. Sorry, I was trying to do math in my head. It's not unreasonable to say that the split with four players, including the GM, shouldn't be 25, 25, 25, 25, but should be something like, 20, 20, 20, 40. That's not unreasonable. But when you get into the habit of it's 90% the GM talking, and I'm scrolling for minutes to see when the player first talks in like a 5 or 6 player game, there it gets to like, okay, yeah, we got to do something here, right? Yeah, yeah, cut in line. It works totally. Like, there's even an earlier point in that session where me and Nick are kind of cutting each other off, and we both, just motion. Nope, you go ahead. Nope, you go ahead. Yeah, I was just about to mention playing dolls with yourself, the NPC to NPC conversation. I would do it out of dialogue and say something like, um, the townsfolk are debating among themselves what to do about the problem. The guards are uh, raising questions about who the suspects are in this crime. That, something like that. Have it not as a full hand wave, but as a if that's a prompt for the players, if they want to butt in on the conversation, they can ask one of the guards. Then one guard talks to a player character talks back. Maybe the other guard now responds back. Oh, thank you, man. I think so. That was something I tried to do a lot with the crowds of people. I think to varying degrees of success in the last game. Um, I've been thinking a lot. I've actually been thinking a lot about this because, yeah. Nice talking to you, NeoCal. I will get that to you next time I see you. That link to the Discord. Um, reading comments here while trying to finish my own thought. Effectively, though, what I'm getting at here is that there are things that we're talking about here that are not subjective at all. The objective reality is that playing in a certain way means somebody gets more screen time and somebody gets less screen time. We're all showing up to play the game. There's very few people that want less of the game that they showed up to play for. Therefore, I think it's a pretty objective fact that changing this thing would increase the overall level of funitude if you want to be, that autistic about it. But yeah. Yeah, Crep, you're 1 hour behind. What the hell, man? I just want to add being a stakeholder is important in so many things. People advocate for shit they will never suffer the consequences of. Renters asking for increase on property taxes. Why would I be able to vote on let's not go there. Elf Hunter, Adept and I have been thinking about staying in strict round robin, even if somebody's in the middle of a conversation. The GM's not part of the turn order; they interject whenever needed. Oh my god, you may have just solved my problem with round robin. Holy shit! Only one person gets to interrupt. Oh, that you may have invented a great hybrid method there, man. Because my problem has always been how inorganic the round robin was when we played in Rick's Traveler, the space pirate game. I always forget what the name of it is, and I'm interrupting Doc Flamingo's turn. Crispy's kind of interrupting Max's turn, and we're going back and forth interrupting each other because that's the flow of a natural conversation. It's so much, it pulls me out so much more of the role play to look over in private chat and see, oh, remember turn order. And I'm like, oh, fucking hell. And now I'm thinking turn order, and I'm not thinking, oh, Phil just did something really cool here. I'm thinking, ignore that. That's not I can't react to that yet. Okay, wait. I can't react to that yet. Wait. Now I get to go, what happened? And that's how I get a hat on the outside of my spacesuit, is because I've been like, I'm thinking more about the procedure than about the, being it organically. On the flip side of things, when we do things organically, Zonalar gets stuck in the bathroom. So I think that is a fantastic solution there. Let me catch up to comments. Yeah, there you go. Instead of RPing 5 guys by yourself, yep. I don't even think it would need to be streamed. I don't even think it would need to be streamed. I think asking people to make videos themselves is a great thing, because it takes nothing. Do a one-on-one video, leave it unlisted so only people in the Discord can see it. There you go. Some players are really shy and conflict averse. Very true. Player constellations are important, and the players at the table have to adapt to their specific constellation so everybody gets to play. Yep. And there's some growing pains with that. That's part of why I like campaigns, is that you get to grow with the same group of people and fix stuff up. Yeah, it's a short 30-minute chat, man. What don't you know? If the session's scheduled for 2 hours, it's going to be 3 hours. If it's going to be a short 30-minute chat, it's actually going to be an hour and a half plus long. Everyone started jumping in, and then the conversation drifted to mechanical talk, which I like talking about. So, Shauna himself wanted people to stop round robin as the session got going in a video I posted. Yes, exactly. It's training wheels. The training wheels are supposed to fall off. Yeah. Shadow in the Stars. Thank you, dude. Yeah. I found online. I used to just be against the idea of online games as a whole, but now I am just of the opinion that they need to be so much more strictly vetted. They need to be, and you have to have that after game debrief where you go, who got run over, who had problems, where did we have the problems? Because and I think it leads to people being passive, because it leads to people being passive on one end of the spectrum. On the other end of the spectrum, it leads to fucking insane Matt Colville and Critical Role games where there's an insane amount of crosstalk. It is just, you're trying to pinpoint one conversation. Somebody's trying to say, I got a 21 initiative. Somebody else over here is talking about their favorite breakfast cereal. Matt Mercer is like, what was your initiative again? My AC is 20. No, your initiative, god damn it. Oh, fuck me. Yeah, dude. my speakers, most of my AV setup in my living room is from like the 70s to the 90s. And so much of the documentation on it is set your line out to 50% audio and never fucking touch it again. Like, it's, would look at the tech chat and people are recommending anything wireless headphones, wireless mics. No, fuck that. No, I will deal with the cable. I will deal with the cable. And I will even deal with two cables for balanced output because oh my God, I hate. Oh, let me just unpair my iPhone from this truck because I'm borrowing a truck right now. It's not my truck. Let me unpair my iPhone. Literally, the second I unpair it, Chevy Silverado would like to pair. No, no, go away. Cancel. Chevy Silverado would like to pair. Fuck off. Go away. Go away. I'm just trying. I just want to leave. I want to leave. But you can't. You have to you have to wait for the fucking truck to shut off. Yeah, you've got latency between there. Somebody's using wireless headphones, so they've got another 200 milliseconds of delay there. You've got delay through the webcam. You've got once you've stacked, 200 milliseconds of ping, and you're a full half second behind. RPG Grandma, I haven't seen you in a while. Yeah, not even old. Well, these headphones are from the 90s. This design's from the 90s, but they're still being made today. The Sennheiser HD 650s. It is what it is, right? We gotta work with what we got. Yeah, that too. Like, I think do an interruption if it's all I pick up the sword but it's a sword curse. It's a sword cursed. I don't know why I said that weird. It's a cursed sword. Speaking like I'm French. It's a cursed sword, then that would be appropriate for the GM to jump in and interrupt before you take it and lop the kobold's head off or what have you. But yeah, when we're with the crosstalk is a totally different conversation. Yeah. Much harder to parse what people say when they talk at the same time if it all comes from the same source, speakers or headphones. Yeah, absolutely. Nothing beats a good desktop. It's just the truth of it. But phone's great for making quick videos. It's got good camera, good enough microphone, as long as your background doesn't have crazy noise. It's really impressive the camera quality they've managed to get on modern phones. Yeah, this is something we need to consider, when we're playing online games and when we're doing videos in general. When we're having this discourse, we need to remember that it's really hard to parse 5 conversations that are going on in the same text channel where you're responding to Conway, who's responding to another guy, who was responding to me, who was responding to this. Meanwhile, there's another entirely different conversation going on. And it's like, guys, just make a fucking video. Just make a video at this point. We've been talking for 2 hours in text. Kingmaker's DMing me, what is this conversation even about? That I'm trying to respond to him because I stepped in halfway through the conversation. So half of it I'm missing context on as well. So I can't even really give him a super clear answer. Meanwhile, half of the parties involved could have just made a video. That way we know even like your whole sort of gestalt, your heuristics about your breakdown as a person. If you make 1 10-minute video, we can gather a lot from your personality, from your opinions, from your standpoints, through your demeanor, through your inflection. Rather than having to parse text, rather than having to parse, contexts of different conversations, we could just watch a 10-minute video and we're like, boom, we're there, we're on the same page. That goes a long way in vetting people, I think, beyond having stake in things. At this point, yeah, that is my point. My main point in having this stream is like, if you're, it's not constructive. It's when Yekrip and Conway both agreed, actually, thanks for filtering these guys because they're what the hell are they talking about? Show up, start typing walls of text, and then it's like, dude, we've already talked about this. Yeah, it's too much. Get them out of the way. I'll just be asking them, where's your videos, bro? Where's your channel, bro? Oh, you don't have one? Oh, that's interesting. Anyways, moving on. And I'll keep talking with the guys that I know. Ran a Daggerheart one shot for the first time last week, and it didn't even have turn order at all. Even combat without turn order was fine. That's interesting. I am interested in toying with the idea of combat with turn order, but codifying the interruptions. So, like most games have attacks of opportunity for when somebody draws a weapon or tries to cast a spell in front of you or runs past you. I want something like that for like partial failures. Like you throw a punch and it does land, but it's not enough to stagger the guy. So he has an opening and can return with his own strike. And you can have this more immediate back and forth. I think that could be cool. I think that could be a way to hybridize the both of them. Yeah, exactly. It's too much to keep up with. We need like a I don't know. Should we lock the channels until we've like vetted somebody? I don't know. Not my server, just my name. Yeah, exactly. I just said I'm repeating it, but that's something I like about campaigns, even short ones. It doesn't have to be something crazy long. It's you get a feel for the people's characters. You get a feel for you can have a slow burn. I know you and me are both for slow burners. Yeah, that's fair. Keep discussions open. But where you can have free and open discussions. I'm of course referring to YouTube. I wish we had video responses still, man. It's right. Should be more purposeful and should be yeah, I don't that's what like we have enough of them already. It's what, like I don't need my own, right? Well, I have my own personal one for people I know personally. I try to be as offensive as possible in all my games. Right, me neither. I can't even fucking find it. I'm an old man. Too much chit chat. Well, there's too much chit chat and there's too much walls of pseudo academic text. That's what I will call them. Walls of pseudo academic text that are reinventing the wheel at this point, and where it's like, look, man, we've got a point by point 1D, 2D, 3D, 4D. You got a problem. Most people just have a problem with the name. Like I have yet to see someone earnestly break down the individual points. 1D is this. Here is an example of a 1D game. Well, one dimensionally, is it really? No. Do you have a problem with it being called 1D through 4D? Okay, we can talk about that. Sure. Oh God, yeah. Yes, we need to do more Tear Off Your Skin, Max. I know you've been insanely busy too. Let's find time to cram something in together. I'd like to return to Dyson Design too. That was a fun one. The fucking it's exactly what I'm talking about. It's like, what is your point, man? There's pillars of roleplay. That offends me. That offends me because it's all roleplay, right? Why is roleplay an aspect of the pillars of role? What are you talking about, man? Bullying is like lame and gay now. You too, RPG Grandma. Like bullying now is like it's this like catty verbal mental bullying, and like people need to be punched in the face, man. I'm not advocating violence towards anyone in particular. You can't prove that. I'm not wearing. Are you wearing a wire? I'm not wearing a wire. Um, oh yeah, you'll fit in. You'll fit right in. I didn't tell you who though. Just go beat some random person up. It could be anyone. It could be anyone. That's not. There's no address. This isn't a real call to action. This is a. Uh-oh. Yeah, I'm just advocating violence as a concept, right? uh, you could. That is. There we go. That is even jokingly though. That is a concrete reason that you disagree in two fucking sentences. Two sentences, even as a joke. I understand what you mean. I shouldn't be having to bring up like the the sociology definitions of what a role is so we can even have a conversation here. It's ridiculous, right? Yeah, in Minecraft. We can't even use that anymore. Isn't that on like the FBI's like watch list? Don't we have to be like in Diablo 2 or PvP or something like that? Um, uh, but yeah, it's just this people's inability to speak plain English. And I blame the public education system, making people stretch what they could have said in 500 words. Well, no, it has to be a 2,000 word essay. Yeah! Huzzah! We've still got time for the session, though. 2,000 word essays. You know, when you could have said it in 500 words, it could have been said. Okay, sometimes you need a paragraph to get. Sometimes you can't get something out in one sentence. But if you need more than 2 paragraphs of text to explain it, make a video. Make a video on it. Don't tell me you can't make a video. You can make a video. Oh, I don't want to show my face. Shauner's old. I'm hideously deformed. Look at us, man. I got a freaking unibrow. That you can see in all 480p here. I have freaking 30% of my skin is lesionous because I have an autoimmune disease. I've got a fucking neck beard. Not that you can see it unless I pull it up because I don't trim every day because I'm lazy. Well, and I'm fucking busy with a million other things. Is a real excuse I can make. I promise you, you're not the most grotesque homunculus out there. Exactly. It's just descriptivist. That's all it is. It's pointing out. So if you just want us to change the names because it makes you feel bad, you feel lesser. But don't pretend that a 1D game is not creating one-dimensional characters. It is. Objectively, it is. That's why I like those. And maybe I should make a typify of it, a video of that typification, because I haven't seen other people talking about the dimensions that way. Because that's the way I've talked about it. Is it's like these are the dimensionality of the characters that you get when you play in these methods. There's nothing necessarily wrong with a one-dimensional character or a two-dimensional character. John Wick, one of my favorite series. It's got its issues. He's a pretty two-dimensional character. The plot is hanging together by a thread. That's fine because it's not what you're there for. You're not, nobody's really there to see that. Let me catch up on comments. Let me hold my thought there. I detest people using the fact that words have multiple meanings to then conflate those meanings together. God, it's like when we're going through and it's like, so what you mean by that is, no, motherfucker. You can watch my videos, you can watch my actual plays and know what I meant by that. In practice. Praxis, if you want to be a fucking nerd. What I call look at the goddamn video and explain watching the video explains the video. You know what I mean. Stop trying to twist my words by bringing up some obscure definition from the 1230s that, oh, actually, nice means stupid. And then act like they are the offended one. Oh, I just showed up and this place isn't very welcoming to newcomers. Yeah, it's because you busted into the restaurant, asked for a hot dog, got handed a hot dog, and then they're like, I wanted a taco, and you could consider a taco a hot dog. Shut up. I'm killing you. I'm just killing you now. I don't care anymore. There's no more time for words. I'm holding up the Pokemon token of this is a joke and don't take it seriously. I'm not calling you out, Zonar. Yeah, you made. God, I've made standalone videos that have nothing to do with role playing. I hope somebody is watching this who's only seen my coffee or like cocktail videos. It's just like, this guy's insane. He's going off the deep end. I believe Pathfinder is coming out with a board game, and I'm kind of excited for that because I think Pathfinder 2nd Edition is probably a much better board game than it is a role-playing game. Yeah, people have issues with the terminology that they haven't read. They don't understand the terminology. They haven't watched any of our videos on the terminology, and they're getting offended that we're calling them out on not like Bizarro World. You can pop in the StreamYard. I've got places to be soon, but you can pop in the StreamYard for a little bit. Let me give you a link. Boom, boom, boom. Invite guest. I'll just pop it in Dungeon Theater and let's let things fall apart. That is, I had the question like, where I had the question like, where are these people coming from that they're like, they don't appear to have an understanding of what it is we do or who we are. He's gonna release an expose on his channel. Go check him out. Yeah, fake news. So, God, yeah. Well, some of the women among us are more fucking straightforward than some of these men. Like, I'm guilty of it. I'm guilty of dancing around, saying what I really mean in order to not offend people. But now that I realize you can say, I think lettuce is a different plant than cabbage. And somebody go, well, but they're both green cruciferous vegetables, aren't they? It's like, I don't care if I offend you anymore. I don't care. Lettuce and cabbage are different. We are intense. It's a magnetic group, Gale guy. It's what is it like? Like attracts like, regardless of how the opposites attract magnetism tends to go. And it's people are passionate, right? Exactly, right? It doesn't really indicate that it's an evolution necessarily. But people are missing the context. They just look at the labels and they don't read what is actually read under the thing, right? So I agree, you could have an issue with the labeling, right? And you've thought of that out in, again, two sentences. You've thought that out. You've got a constructive issue with the thing. My rebuttal to that is read the short paragraph following 4D and 3D and see very clearly that the hours and hours that we have saying 3D is great, 3D is awesome, 4D is also awesome. They are two different ways of achieving different things, right? Exactly. You haven't read the groundwork here. Ramsey Dewey has a great video where he thinks when he was younger and starting to get into submission grappling, he thinks that he invented the 3/4 Nelson. which is basically I've got my hand behind your neck, and then I've got my hand on my own wrist, and I'm cranking your neck down. And he's trying to come up with like a name for this lock, and then he sees a 2,000-year-old Greek statue of them doing a 3/4 Nelson. God damn it, that's the issue I've been having. I just switched to Opera. Chrome is just like Chrome, and all the Chromium-based browsers are just shit the bed recently. I switched to Opera even though it's ugly and I don't like it, and the hitbox on the X and the increased windows are too small and the mute button's too big. And right, they're related, but they're importantly distinct. They're, yeah, you run with Firefox. I chose not to for reasons I can't quite remember. I don't know. I genuinely don't believe that because I changed literally none of my hardware, and StreamYard just decided to stop working, giving that same message on Chrome. I blame Chrome entirely, and Chrome is dumpstering ad blocker support. So you're trying to squeeze pennies out of me? Get even less of my money, bozo. How about that? Right, exactly. And this is the important thing. We're spending hours of our time every week just trying to organize these things, not even playing them. And most people don't even consider that it's worth having this much passion behind it. And it's the same way I am with pretty much all of my hobbies, right? I'm not a casual enjoyer really of much of anything. Motorsports right now, but that's just because they're expensive and my car is in pieces. But I am in the process of putting an alternator on, and I'm going to have to put a whole transmission and wiring harness in my CRX. So can I really call myself that much of a casual? I don't know. I think anything worth doing is worth doing in earnest, is worth doing in. There you go. I think it's worth doing in earnest. I think it's worth doing to the extreme. But yeah, there you go. That's just the kind of person I am. What gets me is that so many people point out the problems. Zonalar, you're having issues. I hate to do this to you, but I'm gonna end here because I do actually have to go. My wife gets off work really soon. Oh, good God, dude! After the other, I'm gonna go ahead and end it soon. On ask me any other questions you got in chat real quick because my wife gets off work soon, and then we've got to go haul a bunch of shit from yeah, to the extent you enjoy them. For me personally, I remember having like one thing in each session that really stood out to me and was like, wow, that's gripping. That's memorable. That is that's a make or break moment for this character. And then the rest of the session being arguing about rules, being sitting on the sideline, waiting for somebody else to figure out their character, saying, and we can point out all the problems. So many people point out a problem. XP to level 3 is the worst about this. He is so good at pointing out what the problems are. And then he doesn't fix any of them. He doesn't have any of the solutions. That's frustrating. It's so frustrating to know what the solutions are, or to know what the problems are, and then to go, I burnt my pizza. Maybe it needs more pepperoni. It's like, no, motherfucker, there's a core issue here. You're right, exactly. Zonalar, you got anything to add to our closing notes here? We've
Well, I just wanted to say hello and goodbye. Well,
what a troll!
I have no idea how the fucking audio works, so we're gonna figure that out.
It sounds
At
good
least
to
I
me.
get something to listen back to. If everything
I'm
exploded for you.
fucking, the background was gone. I wasn't expecting more people in here, so it's you'll see it for the last 5 minutes. No,
Yeah,
worries.
if there's anything to say, one point, definitely get the channel back in where we can just post our content and talk about those videos
Yes.
specifically.
Yeah.
To have separate from Dungeon Feeder, which works great for critiquing people's videos that are not in our community. So like, oh, this guy has a new idea. Let's try to see what we can extrapolate or try to reason their point of view. And, you know, if they or deem it unworthy. Yeah, that's one big thing. Other than that, I'm not new people joining. Great. That's why we have vetting sessions. Like, do you show up on camera, and do you want to learn 4D roleplay? And some people join like, oh, I don't want to learn 4D roleplay. I just want to see how you guys are, and you know, that's fine for them. But then they don't get vetted, so don't really get invited to the tables. And
Right.
also, it's up to you guys. For if you want to learn, you have to say that you want to. There's a training session. Type in, hey guys, I got time at this time of day, this week or next week. What can we do? Don't rely on others to do all the work for you. Take responsibility, man.
There we go. You can have the default background. Yeah, that's great. I think multiple people agree. I don't. Big bad. If you had a reason for getting rid of the old, I understand why you got rid of the bot. The bot got super buggy. You threw out the baby with the bathwater on the channel. Yeah, be proactive, and I don't mean be proactive in your typings of walls of text. That's not what we need more of. We got plenty of that. Be proactive in creating your own content, right? If you see something that sparks you to go, I disagree with that, make a video on it, man. Make a video on it. That way it's it's etched in stone, because it's a lot easier. How long did it take me? Somebody asks, give me a, what is this whole in-character roleplay thing about? Oh, copy paste. I know a video for that from Max. I know a video from that. For that from Crispy. I have a video for that for myself. It takes me 5 seconds. Sometimes people who don't even have my channel beat me to it.
Yeah.
How long does it take me to scroll up past thousands of messages to go, hang on, what were we even talking about in the first place? It's inane. It's ridiculous. There are, yeah, exactly. And then don't be offended if you have a ranty wall of text is my first interaction with you, and I'm less than charitable with my interpretations of your ranty wall of text. Understand how that sounds, right? Like, remember, the internet, I think, has poisoned people into thinking that there are not real people behind the keyboards and stuff. That's another thing that's great about doing the videos is, hi, I'm a real human being, and I'm your best friend in real life, as Nathan mentioned earlier. But no, seriously, if you just showed up to my bar and the first thing you said was, I don't think the bottled in bond classification is very good. I think it should need at least 6 years for. I would be like, what the fuck? I don't know you, dude. Have you considered, hi, my name is? Have you considered...
I don't think you should consider it a bar. It's more of a restaurant or lounge, maybe.
Right. Yeah. Similarly, you show up to a restaurant and you start talking about like Wagyu, beef certification, and it's like, dude, like, what kind of steak do you like? Let's talk about this like human beings. Why are we talking in these academic, bureaucratic terminologies first thing right off the bat? If that's what you want to talk about, that's cool.
But it's really weird because I made a post of I hate talking about semantics, because I'm a strong believer that words are literally the tools we use to express the miasma in our fucking brain and put them into context that we can translate to somebody else so they understand, oh, the miasma in your brain means that thing. Now I can have it in my brain too. Now we can have a conversation. So arguing semantics of what, like, oh, you use this word like this way? No, use it like that way. Use it my way. Ends up becoming superfluous because you don't want to have to talk with him or with your like small clique in group, like for the roleplay. You want to be able to have that talk with everybody in your region, in your area, in your country, or like in your circles. So we established new words, so we can have a definition, a framework for the role play to talk about. So if you're the guy that comes in and wants to change the framework completely before you showed any understanding of what the framework itself is useful for, I think it's much more prudent to create your own framework separately and not try to use the 4D like wording, like a 1D, 2D, 3D, 4D, and use that for your own. Because now you're making it more confusing, right? Now we have this argument again of, oh, role-playing means staying in character, and the other guy thinks, oh, role-playing means I'm playing an archetype of a healer, damage dealer, a general, a scoundrel.
Mm-hmm.
Now you just created that problem again, but for 4D roleplay. Like, how superfluous is that?
Right. And it's part of the problem too is if we say something that has 3 dictionary definitions, you can watch our videos and get a pretty clear understanding of which one we mean by seeing what we practice, by seeing us put it into action.
Yeah.
When you say something in a wall of text that has 3 dictionary definitions, and you have no videos of your gameplay, you have no videos of you even talking about this theory, you have no videos, period, I'll just have to guess. I will have to try and like wrench out the words and figure out like, okay, are you using like traditional sociology definitions of what a role is? Because if we're doing that, then no, it doesn't really have to do with your role in society. That's like a fifth of the definition, charitably. If you're not using that definition, then what definition are we using here, man?
It's really weird because we are having opposite issues with new players joining the Discord of, hey guys, I'm super shy. I'm watching fucking 100 videos. I'm practicing in front of the mirror. And, I just don't want to show up to a training session unprepared. Dude,
it's
a training session is to just join in and try out.
Yeah.
You don't need any of that other stuff. Like, I will bake it in like the first 15 minutes. We just talk about what 4D roleplay means to get you on board. And even if you're not on board, you're going to try it out because you signed up. You showed up for class. I'm ready to teach. Right. And on the other hand, it's like, nah, I don't give a shit. Let me just redefine all of your words to talk to you about what they mean.
So, yeah.
What's the point?
Yeah, man. Well, it's
both ends of the spectrum that both annoy me. Like,
yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Exactly. Context clues are taught in first grade. But people take blues and orange. Yeah. Yeah, man. It's I guess my closing thought would be if we that too, hell, half of you don't even need a training session, just start it. And then if it sucks, and you learn from that. Instead of worrying if it sucks, accept that it will suck and that you can make adjustments from there. Making adjustments from a black void is about impossible. You just can't do it. Making adjustments from, ooh, that sucks, that's way more doable.
Talk about learning martial arts without ever fucking swinging a punch. Learning how to draw without ever picking up a pencil. Stop reading books, stop watching movies, stop watching tutorials, fucking draw something. Practice has to go alongside with
the theory.
With the theory, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You can, once you have, the theory is important because we need a framework to actually talk about this stuff, right? And once you actually have the practice, the theory can go a long way. But
Indeed.
if it's all the, Lichtenauer, Johannes Lichtenauer, 15th century German longswords master, famously said, "Art without practice is useless, but practice without art is fine."
Yep.
You can just do the thing, and the language is important because role play is, until we get upload our brains to hive minds and have instant communication, role play is done through language. So it is important that we have a ground zero of language to some extent. Some miscommunication is unavoidable.
Absolutely.
But when we're like dancing around, there's a lot of this that reads as, you might not be trying to do it, but it reads as, I am going to pick the definition of this that makes me right and you wrong. And
I
when
drew you as a Soitchak, myself as
yeah,
a chat.
and when you're talking like that, and you don't have any videos of your own, and we've never role played with you, and you just showed
you
up
have-
3 days ago,
And you have no profile picture either.
yeah,
And
we're
nondescript name where I get chosen no relations.
Yeah. Forgive us if all 5 of these things are the case, that we're not the most charitable when you show up. If you show up and you start knocking cans over and and you start playing a clever nerd dick measuring contest, and if you show up, give you 2 examples. Guy shows up to the bar, he says, "Do you have any Old Forester 1910? I really like it." Boom. We have a conversation back and forth. It's great.
yeah.
What's your name, man? Oh, you guys only carry 1910 and 1920. You don't carry the 12-year? Like, what the fuck kind of a first conversation is this? Like, this is this is not how people should talk to each other when they first met. If we have a rapport and I know you're kind of shit posting, then yeah, that's great. But yeah, it's
right.
Yeah, practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. That's a good one too, though. That's the importance of some of the theory is eventually you can calcify mistakes by just practicing a lot the same way. That's how we see a lot of the 1D 2D gameplay just done without thinking about it over and over and over again. I would tend to agree there. Yeah, exactly. yeah exactly. I've legitimately had guys walk into the bar and sit down, and the first thing they say is, "Your layout sucks." And I'm like, you're gonna get garbage like service from me. Like, there's 20 other people in the bar. They have extended basic human kindness to me. They're good paying customers. We can have a fun academic conversation about Jefferson's Ocean, aging American whiskey at sea, so it has some of those more Scotch like almost peated notes from the sea air in there, and talk about microbiology of brewing. Absolutely, we can get into those conversations. It depends on the framing, man. It depends on the framing. It depends on how long we've known each other. It depends, And when we do it in video, it's a lot more realistic. It's a lot more realistic as a actual human conversation, rather than having to go, "Wait, what were we even fucking talking about, man?" Like, yeah,
indeed,
yeah, absolutely. And that's why it's really hard to break out of a lot of these patterns, and that's why I think there is a lot of pushback against the 4D format, because we're asking you to break out of the mold. We're asking you to
we're asking you to fucking empty your cup before you try to fill it. It's already full.
Yep. What is the what is the not Enter the Dragon? I'm getting my Bruce Lee movies mixed up, but if you point at the moon and you focus on the finger, you will miss all that heavenly glory.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's a really cool scene.
It's not like I'm a fucking. It's not like I'm a philosopher or anything, but you watch a couple martial arts videos on YouTube, and suddenly you realize, wait, holy shit, there's so many parallels of how to improve in life, not just how to improve in martial arts, and you can literally copy it one to one to role playing games. It's not even that hard. Like, what do? You show up, you train every day, you think about it, you practice with other people. You can even talk about it, like if that strike makes sense in that way, or if maybe you should improve your distancing or the breathing technique itself to channel to have more explosive power. And it behooves you to go to other dojos, learn from other masters, and talk with them.
Do cross training.
Yeah, because
But
it gives you that extra perspective, the shift of perspective on the hobby itself. You turn around and then you realize, oh shit, I didn't even notice that.
And what gets me is that, like, with martial arts and with a lot of other hobbies, we accept that different groups have different names, that maybe the acronym's not perfect, that have different, they have the same technique, but it's called something different. We can have a conversation and deal with that and go, oh, that's interesting. That's weird. And I think it's just that there was a long enough period of history that got calcified and is now like, well, that's what, what judo calls a tomoe-nage. It exists in wrestling. It exists in the European systems. It doesn't really have a name over there. It's a descriptor of what's existing. So we'll call it a tomoe-nage, even though we're a European system, because it's a convenient shorthand, and it's the same technique, that's how these names work. Some people will have pushback and they'll go, hang on, you're using a Japanese name to describe a European technique. I'm using whatever name fits reality at the moment. I'm not that caught up in whether or not you're offended by 1D4D, whether or not you're offended by the use of the Japanese name, or, you want me to invent a European name. Because let's face it, lots of those European guys in the wrestling treatises, they had a big problem that we have today, where they just said, here's a throw. Here's another way to throw a guy. Here, this becomes impossible to talk in shorthand. You can only show people this sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas if we build up a framework, somebody had to be the first guy to typify the throws. And thus far, we're the first guys that have typified the kinds of games that people have played. The pillars of roleplay existed to typify sections within a game. Sometimes people are doing the talkie talk. Sometimes people are doing combat. Sometimes people are doing exploration. Nobody has typified beyond some games are beer and pretzels. Some games are more serious. So if you've got an issue with
also,
it,
what does more serious mean? It's like,
exactly.
I take my combat very serious. I'm here to win.
Yeah, exactly.
They exist. They're out there.
Yeah, there it is. I think a lot of it is people struggling with some cost fallacy. I think a lot of it is people struggling with, well, what exactly is it that I want? I think, do more less and get more for less and less. That's so true. Yeah, less hypotheticals. Fewer hypotheticals, because you've made a minor grammatical mistake. Your entire point is wrong, Max. Yeah,
indeed.
It's so yeah, hypothetically, could we come up with a better framework? Maybe. Let's see it. Let's see the better framework out there, right?
And the one that was posted, I was not convinced by. But maybe I might be if you made a video about it.
Yeah.
And if you could showcase it in what way it benefits me to know your framework, which is, that's what happened when I heard 4D roleplay. Like, okay, what the fuck is this shit even about? Oh, to stay immersed, to get more character moments, to see more of the world through the eyes of your character. And I realized, oh yeah, those were my favorite moments whenever I roleplayed on the other tables.
Yeah.
Before I get like yanked out because somebody has to make a comment or disagrees with me making an attack roll instead of healing the dead party
Yeah,
member on the
yeah.
floor. But that's when I realized, all right, yeah,
Oh.
that's correct. I don't care if my dwarf veteran bounty big game hunter dies to a cave dragon. That was
Yeah.
his entire life's purpose, to
Yeah,
try and
yeah.
hunt one down. Like, he
You
might
know,
know it's unrealistic,
on
and
the on the topic earlier of
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt, of like
Yeah.
role playing in war games, and when I mentioned Mordheim, like the troll slayers in Warhammer Fantasy, their whole point is to die an honorable death in combat, and every time they come back, not having killed their foe and not having succeeded, it's like, damn, not today. That's such an interesting thing that says about those characters, about the world, about and to lose all of that in something like paraplay or meta play, it's just like that's so 4D, the dimensions, it has a little bit of an allure to it, of a like, whoa, what's that? When you say like paraplay, meta play, I'm like, okay, this is
dry.
This is
And
clinical.
now
We're
now I
clinical
have
and
to
academic.
take
Yeah.
apart what para even means.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
fucking, I never use it.
I'm getting closer and closer to Conway's role playing is one thing. Watch us do it.
Yeah.
Like
It's like, okay, immersive role play is not that difficult. It's trying to immerse yourself into something,
right,
and that thing happens to be role playing.
Yeah, it happens to be this fictional world that we're getting into. Yeah.
But the words literally mean
Yep.
what they mean. They don't need to be explained with 2 paragraphs.
I might like, you know what? I might like grounded roleplay better, because I mentioned that my issue with immersive roleplay is that people have their preconceived notion of what immersion is, and they think
of
mood
like
lighting,
flow state roleplay or something like.
Yeah. Well, it's like doing the mood lighting, it's getting your terrain dressed up well, it's doing all this stuff.
It's when you set down the actual tavern dinner,
Yeah.
like on the table for you to eat.
Yeah. It's LARPing. People hear immersive, and a lot of the times they think LARPing. Whereas I think if you say grounded, people know what that word means, but they might ask, grounded roleplay, what do you mean by that? Because a lot of people were confused.
Grounded in what?
Yeah, grounded in the world that you're in, right?
Yeah.
You have some suspension of disbelief that this fictional world, you accept these things to be true. You accept that this guy can cast magic, but how can he cast magic? If you accept magic to be true, well, do people in the world know how it works? Is it common? Is it like a taboo thing when it's done? Look at our last session when Conway's character is casting that spell along his sword, and then some people are freaking out, because they're like, holy shit, I didn't know he could do that. There are, maybe there we go. I don't know much. I just yak. But yeah,
you're a master role player.
Something like that. No, I still make lots of mistakes, but I put my mistakes out there. Somebody made a comment on one of my videos that was like, "You're embarrassing yourself, man." And I was like, I wish I could post screenshots, because I was like, you have no profile picture, you have no videos on your channel.
What is so bad about embarrassing yourself?
Yeah, I was like, nothing was ever gained by not risking embarrassing yourself. 2, what's more embarrassing, that you're commenting on my video as an absolute no, but you're spending the time out of your day to find my video, type up a comment, there's absolutely no content on your channel. I'm embarrassing myself? Well, that might be true, but ouch. What does that say about you if I'm embarrassing myself?
It's definitely like, especially with YouTube comments, or if somebody like joins completely new and they come in all hot, like ready to go. Is it helps that you think to yourself like, am I projecting all of my issues onto other people, that surely they have that issue?
Yeah, because They mostly do suck. And that's part of the profile picture. Doesn't have to be your face. My profile picture isn't my face anymore. But when you have a
I'm an
profile
elf.
picture, there's less anonymity. You get some of, okay, this person chose that profile picture. Interesting. That says something about them. But the wall of anonymity makes it to where people can just like spout nonsense all day long, and then there's no that's what's pathetic. That's what's embarrassing to me. Yeah, you're not convinced video discussions are faster than reading. Well, okay, this 2 hour and 20-minute long impromptu live stream is probably not the best example. However, I'll give you 2 points to why videos are better than text.
They're more entertaining.
Sure, you get more inflection, you get more hand waving, you get more jangling keys. Yes. 2, this 2 hours and 20 minutes could be you preparing a roast. It could be you. Yeah, exactly. Cooking, cleaning, showering. So these are not 2 lost man hours. And number 3, we do have a lot of 10 5-minute videos and that are not 2.5 hour long live streams. So I get that you're tongue in cheek there, but but yeah. Great video. I really like the part where if I have to read another one of those, I'm gonna pour bleach on my eyes. Okay, that got me off guard.
And those comments are exactly that. It's the
that
parasocial relationship of, oh yeah, I like this YouTuber, that I want to praise him. Hey, good job, Tyler.
Yeah.
I like this video. Like sometimes I don't want to think about anything clever.
Well,
like on the tempo short, I just said like, yeah, it was a really interesting discussion.
Yeah, but you said you hope to see more of it, and that tells me, great, okay, I need to make more of the same thing. That's baseline constructive,
Exactly.
See, get you some open back $500 headphones and and then walk around with your portable headphone amp because you can't run them off of phone power.
Oh, you're not running your headphones in Bluetooth mode? I see.
No, they're balanced output, so I get a separate feed from right channel audio and left channel audio. That's fed to a Savage A10H amp, which is then fed to a Sony PHA-1 DAC amp, which then goes into the soundboard on my computer.
Mm-hmm.
This is reasonable, and I expect everyone to do it. Oh yeah. There we go. Oh, thank God! That implies it wasn't the whole stream. Whew.
It filters out the actual.
Yeah, I know what you're showing. But yeah, what was I gonna say? My wife is taking the dog out, so I've got a few more minutes to yak before I have to run.
I missed the start. So is there anything else to add to this? I'm happy with it got like focus on are you projecting? And it's also for me like realizing, wait, am I projecting because I have issues? And if I see you saying something I disagree with, project my issues onto you. It's like, oh, surely he has the same
where I was gonna say it is when people get offended when someone like Conway said something like, do you have a video of that? Because I find that hard to believe. That is not meant to be taken as offense. Guess what Crispy said to me before we started playing our Pathfinder game? I find it hard to believe that you can roleplay in Pathfinder First Edition. I've tried. It just doesn't work.
Yep.
You know what he said after our first 2 videos? He was like, we need to do a tweakers on this because holy shit, you did it. And I was like, wow, that was a great compliment. But guess what? I hear all the time. I will talk about scheduling conflicts, and some people will say, like, somebody said in that Reddit post a few months ago, like, it seems like you have scheduling conflicts. And I was like, yeah, I assume everyone does, because I assume everyone has lives outside of role playing. Like, what? That's not an insane. People will act like their group is the model. It's the model for everything. It's like, our group doesn't have scheduling issues. Second,
well, that's great. Then you don't have to talk about it.
Yeah,
right?
It's great. Great.
Skip to the next point.
Second, I bet your group does have 90% of the issues you say it doesn't. Because I found that to be the case. When
It's-
Shauner was like, hey, when was the last time you said, what do you do in your game? And I was like, I legitimately couldn't remember. I could not point out
Yeah.
the last time that I said, what do you do in my games? When he starts mentioning, how often do you say, can I do this? Oh, shit. That's even a problem? Do I do that? I do that. Oh, no. And all my players do it too. And
one of the things I noticed people being like, is there stop it right there.
yeah.
Look
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
I look for a rake to step on, It's so much easier.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like when people are like, well, I don't, that doesn't happen. Or they move the goalpost. Well, if it does happen in my games, does it matter anyways? It's like,
why does it matter?
let's stop
just
talking
game,
about
bro.
this. Let's see your game and let's earnestly.
Even if it mattered, like
Yeah.
we're still having fun, Tyler. Don't you
Right,
get it?
exactly. And that's the third level. And that's why, Darren, if you're watching this, that gut Conway had that gut reaction of, oh no, we're talking about fun right off the bat.
Somebody dropped the F word.
Because so often it is used as a deflection. It's used as a third line. Oh, well, okay. I was disagreeing with you, but now that you've shown me proof and I'm backed into a corner, I'll pull out my Yu-Gi-Oh! Trap card. Fun! Aha! You can no longer assail me because I'm having fun, which means I'm unassailable. And it's like,
which
no,
is
dude.
great. So you don't need to watch our videos and talk to
Right,
us anymore.
right.
You've
That's my thing.
achieved roleplay nirvana, apparently. Now I would love to know how I can have fun like you. So post your videos of you playing and having a great time with your friends.
And I expect if you're having fun, nobody's going to be on their phones. Nobody's going to be painting miniatures, because if they're engaging in other hobbies, then, well, why would they be doing that? Clearly, they're having more fun on their phone. They're having more fun painting their miniatures than doing the hobby that they scheduled, that they had to take. They're having more fun doing the impromptu do their hobby than doing the thing you had to schedule throughout the week. That's crazy, man. Maybe you should really look at yourself and consider what's going on there. But it takes some swallowing of pride to admit, shit, this thing I've done for years, I could be doing it better.
There is a level of ignorance that the classic being ignorance is bliss, which also happens in role-playing games. Oh man, as soon as you realize that this bothers you, you see it everywhere. It's my wife gets really upset at me, like, why did you teach me 4D roleplay? I hate my games with my friends now. To the point where head is on the table, lying down, full of, like, completely bored out of her mind in those tables. And I sit there like, wife, I'm telling you, I'm not joining those tables anymore. I know exactly what will come.
It's one of those things where my ongoing in-person game, it's been ongoing for so many years before the dimensions of roleplay was even like a codified thing, that I'm like, yeah, we mostly do 2D stuff, and I'm here for the times when the 3D roleplay comes out. Fantastic. When I start my new game, we're going to go, boom, here are the things that I like about the game. Here are the reasons that two of you drive up an hour so that we can meet in person. Here are the reasons that we're scheduling this around my incredibly busy schedule, around your incredibly busy schedules. Let's get as much of that out of each session as possible, because I do like it. There are a bunch of elements that I like here. Let's get rid of the elements that I don't like. Let's get rid of the part where whenever you cast a spell, I'm having to go, what does that look like? Describe what you're doing here. And like, I want to not have to put the thumb screws on as much when I'm doing that. I want it to just happen naturally, and I think that's possible. I think people are, when it's with your personal friend group, I get it that it's like, I don't want to alienate my friends because
talk about, you don't want to alienate your wife and children.
Right.
One of the new members lamented, like, I'm trying to teach them, but they're so resistant to change. It's like, oh yeah, we all know that feeling. We
Yeah,
know.
yeah, man. I mean, humans are, we've been
We don't like
agrarian,
change.
we've been agrarian, sedentary people for thousands of years. I don't know if the water down that way is going to be any good. My crops are going to fail. I'll stay right here and eat my sad corn. And meanwhile, upriver, it's a beautiful harvest bounty, but the thing with the newcomers is there's no stake. There's no if you have these critical reasons as to like why you're still doing it the other way, why things have changed, nobody's gonna flame you for that super hard. But it's when that's because these people have stake. And that's the point of this whole stream that was supposed to be 30, 45 minutes, and it's 2.5 hours long. But yeah, guys.
You're welcome.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad you got all this sorted out, your computer fixed and whatnot. I will find out my schedule for next week, Friday, and if it's the same, we'll try to run the same thing again. I know everybody was busy anyways, so I'm kind of happy we weren't having to try to cram anything in. I gotta go. I will see you guys around. Leave comments on this that you can maul that and make them like 2,000 word essays, and then I'll just respond true smiley face. That'll show me you were in on the joke.
Post your novellas.
Take care, guys. Go check out Zonalar's channel. Go check out the rest of my channel, Max's channel, Crispy's channel. Check out everybody in the comments here, because most people in here have videos of their own. Most of us
check
are small
Elf Hunter.
channels. Elf Hunter.
He tries to 40 roleplay Mithras like he's a madman.
Yeah, we're all insane people here, but we have the proof behind our the fruits of our labor are free for anyone to watch. Thank you, guys. See ya.